Hey folks, Coach Patrick here, Endurance Nation, back with another Coach Podcast. This week, kicking off the new year, I want to talk to you a little bit about what it means to restart your season. One of the most common questions that I get at this time of season is, Coach, what do I do now, right? I had a plan, I wanted to get started, things were going really, really well until the holidays hit. I like to refer to that time between November and December here in the US, North America land, as kind of the Bermuda Triangle. It's very hard to get things done. From a work perspective, that adds additional stress. There's travel related to it. And on top of all of that, you've got your training goals. And it's really important to think about these training goals within the context of your season, because we just came off of our season. So when we were racing in June, July, August, September, we had big goals. And we were allocating our energy and time and attention accordingly. And so now when it comes to the winter, our family, our friends, our significant others are saying, hey, thank God all that madness is behind you. It's time to focus on everything else that matters in our world. But that tiny little part of your brain is saying, yeah, but I really want to run. Yeah, but I really want to ride my bike. Yeah, but I want to get outside in the snow, or whatever it is that is your passion here in the winter. And it's really hard to reconcile what you want to do. You know the right thing to do, focus on the family, do the big picture stuff, that's what really matters. But how do you also manage the training, right? And if you've been unable to find a baseline level of training that helps you feel successful when you enter the winter period, well, then it's time for us to really restart. So January becomes that time when we restart. And so I want to frame the context of restarting and then hopefully give you some tips here on how you can do it the right way. So restarting does not mean starting from scratch, right? Because you had already just started. So in a way, you had last year, we took a break and then we started and things, just got a little slow out of the gate, right? It's like going for your first bike ride of the year. Your tires are a little low, can't find the pump. Where did you put your helmet? I know I had an Allen wrench somewhere around here. Do I have lube for my chain because it's making horrible noises? Did I remember to charge the batteries on my electronic shifter? Oh, all the problems that we have in that first ride, right? Well, in many ways, starting your season is the same way. You come off of the year, you're all excited, you've got fitness, you recover, and mentally you're just raring to go. You're like, I can't wait to get back at it. But getting back at it doesn't mean going outside and going for an epic 2-hour run or going for a really awesome bike ride or chasing Strava segments. Getting back after it means going downstairs into your pain cave, going into a gym, locking yourself into a room with minimal windows, with a fan pointing at your face, simulating the outdoorness that you love, and then training there. And the numbers, guess what? Don't look anything like they used to look outside. Not as sexy, not as fun. And so there's a lot of things sort of stacked against your ability to be successful. So don't get down. Let's get focused and take a look at what really matters. So the first thing we need to do is figure out what was the problem that caused this hiccup in your season, right? So was it just schedule related? Was it just life? Like you just chalk it up to, I was just too busy, now I wanna get back after it? Okay, good, that's like a level 1 issue. Was it work related? Like, hey, I gotta pay for this equipment and this trip and all this awesomeness. Somehow I had to put that on hold to get work sorted out. That's a level 2 problem, right? Because work takes some serious priority. Then level 3 problem is your health, right? Is there something that came up that was health-wise? Like, did you get sick? Did you get the flu? Did you injure something? Did you fall down? Were you a chucklehead and fell down shoveling ice in your driveway in St. Louis? I'm not naming anybody. But did you fall down and hurt your ribs? And that sucks, right? Because it's really hard to breathe when your ribs are hurt. And it's not something we're typically prepared for. Like climb a mountain, do it. Shovel snow, maybe not so well, right? So finding that balance is really important. So we think about ranking these problems so we can figure out where to start. So for me, I say, what was the problem? You tell me there's a level 1 problem, like just schedule, easy. We can fix that schedule. You tell me there's a level 2 problem like work. I'd want to make sure that we've got parameters set for the beginning of this year to make sure that whatever training that we do set in place fits within the context of that work. Because odds are, if work was a priority at the end of last year, it's also, after a break, going to be a priority at the start of the year. And don't even get me started with people who are in the financial services industry. You have to get ready for April and tax season. So this is a really crazy time of year. So let's focus on that. Like if that schedule wasn't possible at the end of last year, is it really truly possible now? Like let's take a couple things out, start again slowly and rebuild, right? If it was a level 3 issue, then we've got to do some damage control because we got to figure out what it was that got you sick. Were you traveling on a plane and you just caught a cold? Were you, training too much on a treadmill and you kind of injured your hamstring, right? We're taking care of your hamstring. Is this an ongoing issue that we had last year that we kind of didn't pay attention to? But once we rested and our body, kind of relaxed a little bit, now we're getting back into training, it rears its head again. Is it one of those sort of annual recurring things, or is this a new problem that we're facing? And these I call level 3 issues, simply because when your health starts to break down, then we start getting things that interfere big picture with your consistency. Success in our game is a function of how long you play that game. My two hands being this far apart, for those of you on YouTube, designates this is a long period of time, the width of my iPhone camera, super long. And so if your season is broken into lots of short chunks where we're working and resting, but that rest isn't intentional, that rest is I'm broken, or that rest is I'm sick, that's not sustainable. You won't be able to build on top of that. We need something that's going to work for you. And so in order to make that be as successful as possible, we've got to address those issues. So we've got to make sure that your diet's in great place. We've got to make sure that you're getting good sleep. We've got to make sure that you're hydrated. We have to make sure that you're taking care of your body. If you've got a nagging run injury, then jumping into the winter and doing lots and lots of running, not the best place to start, right? We have to figure out a way that we can continue to build your aerobic engine, but use the gym, use other modalities to be successful. And these are really important things because our season, if we think about our season peaking in the middle, right? June, July, August, September, that peak is a function of all the work that we do into it. And if we only do a small amount of work, or that level of work is too low to really matter, then the peak that we're talking about in June and July is affected. And I'd much rather now, in the early part of your season, say, let's dial it back. Let's take it from 5 runs a week to just 3, right? Let's take it from outdoor running to indoor running on a treadmill. Let's keep it safe. Let's take it from running to actually putting you on the elliptical for a fair amount of time and see how that works. Like, let's take you off of any weight bearing and we'll put you on the spin bike, or down in your basement on the bike, working out at your run heart rate time, right? There's lots of different levels down that we can work to keep you building that aerobic engine, but take the stress off of running, for example. It's just one piece that I'm picking here, pretty much because it's the most common injury that our athletes face. And that will give you bandwidth to actually start to address that issue. And now in the wintertime is a great time to address some of these more systemic health-related issues. It's easy to get in and see a physical therapist in January, February, and March because the seasons are quiet right now. When you get mid-year and everyone decides to go out and do a Tough Mudder, you got 50-year-old men throwing themselves off an electrified fence into a puddle of like barbed wire, iron, and other people. They get injured all the time. Those offices are chock full of boneheads. Right? Now is a great time to get injured. Now's a great time to go in and take care of yourself, right? So we want to make sure that we're doing that work now, right? And we have an opportunity to be introspective now, particularly because our externally focused mindset is not preoccupied by an event. My race is in April, my race is in July, my race is in August. I don't feel as much urgency today in January as I do if I was at the beginning of April and my race is in April. If I was at the beginning of July and my race is August 1st. And so smart decisions now create good habits that allow us to build forward from that. Now, in line with our race execution protocol, our 4 keys, where we talk about execution is about race day, right? Not fitness. Race day about execution, not fitness. We have the line. Nothing matters till you get to the line. Everything you focus on goes inside your box, and then the one thing that really matters. Thinking about that same mental construct for being successful here in the winter, I really want to focus for you on the things that you can control. So you can't necessarily control what happens at work, but you can control the training that you do in relation to the work schedule that you have, right? You can't control whether or not you're flying on a plane, but you can control how you sleep before you go, after you go, and the nutrition and recovery process you do to take care of your body if you have to travel, right? You can't necessarily control the fact that you're injured, but you can control the workouts that you do as you emerge from that injury and return on a path to wellness. This early season restart is actually in many ways not so much a problem as it is an opportunity. And even successful athletes, and by successful I mean people who did not have that hiccup, who've been able to train through it somehow despite all of the mayhem and craziness that's going on, you too also would benefit from kind of reframing where you are right now and seeing what's next. We had a plan, we set a plan in place in November or December. Now it's been 4 weeks, 8 weeks. For some of you, it's been 12 weeks. How are we doing? Where are we at? You've got numbers, but you've also got sort of your baseline sense of where you are relative to your goals. And this is a great time to check in. This is something I do with my coachee end, the higher tier level of athletes. We're checking in right now to see, hey, where are we on this path to the goals that we'd set? How do we feel? Not just from a numbers perspective, but from an engagement perspective, from a health perspective. Are we all systems go? Are we still trending in a place, towards a place where we can build from here? Or are we maxed out, right? Like one of the biggest things that I'm afraid of, aside from athletes who train through injury or ignore the problems that their body is presenting them, are people who are maxed out now. Like, could you run 35 miles a week right now in January for an August race? You absolutely could. You may have a lifestyle that lets you do it. Is that the best option? No. It's not at all. Your body does not do well running at 35 miles a week for 9 straight months. Your body needs variety. And if you're not going to give it to it through a structured training program like we have here inside Endurance Nation, then your body's going to create those opportunities by throwing problems at you, by making you feel sick, by making you just, you're going to hit a plateau and you're just not going to be that interested in working out anymore. Only the truly stubborn, the truly mentally tough can force their way through 6 months of hating running and still running those weekly miles. And there's no predicator to me that says this many miles for this many consecutive weeks equals success on race day. Quite to the contrary, the only success factor that I've seen is the ability to do the work in those last 6 weeks before race day is the impact on what happens. So all the work we're doing now is preparing us for the work that's coming down the road. So do the right work now and take the time to think about the right work and use this hiccup, this pause, this opportunity to restart as a chance to refocus and put everything in alignment with what you need. Inside Endurance Nation, this is something we do for all of our athletes. Whether you're a plan athlete, you're more on the DIY side of things, you're on the team with all of your teammates, and me in the forums helping you out, or if you're one of our coaching athletes and we have more of that one-on-one relationship, this is what we do. We focus on making sure that every single training session, every single workout is pointed towards your goal, that we're helping you adapt, change, and putting you 100% in control of your training. If you're interested in learning more, you should check us out online at endurancenation.us. The rest of you on the team, well, time to check in, right? Fire up those forums. I'm here. Looking forward to hearing from you guys and seeing what we can come up with for the rest of this year. This has been Coach Patrick signing off. Great to talk with all of you. I look forward to seeing you in my next podcast. If you like it, please share it. See you guys.